Please welcome Managing Director and Vice President of International Markets for Trip.com Group, Bon Sun Chai, in conversation with Skift Asia editor Peden Doma Bhutia.
Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome Boon. It was great having you, and we're meeting after 2 months. The last time we met in October in ITB Asia. And during that time, you told me something very interesting, that you told me that if there is one country that has not taken revenge travel outbound, it's mainland China. Yeah, and we see that your Chinese outbound travel recovery is still a little above 50% of 2019 levels. And there are supply challenges like flight restrictions and visa impediments as well. So once this happens, what is the potential and how are the challenges being met?
Great, thank you. I am a bit nervous because Peden told me that there's high expectations and everybody is looking forward to hearing about Chinese travelers. But you're right. I think if there's one country around the world that has not taken revenge travel, it is mainland China. Outbound, I mean. Now, and I think that's a good thing for everyone because we have enjoyed the advantage and the travels of this revenge travel over the last couple of years globally. We need another big boost, right? We need another catalyst to help our travels around the world. So let me share with you some of the numbers, right? So if you look at Trip.com's numbers, the first number on the right is 80%. We are actually not even back to 80%, not even back to 100% how it was in 2019 for outbound travels, both on the flight and hotel basis. This is based on our latest Q3 earnings. However, if you look at our domestic travel, our domestic mainland Chinese travel is already more than 50%, almost about 90%, more than how it was in 2019. So if you use that parallel to say, if I can do the same outbound based on 90% year on year versus 2019, we still have a huge, more than about 100% to go. Because here we are at 20% below what it was in 2019. So I think revenge travel is something that we're looking forward to. To Peden's point, I think there is some restrictions in terms of flight capacity and visa restrictions and so on, but I think that should go away sooner rather than later. So we are really optimistic about the Chinese travelers. If you look at the Golden Week travels, right, our volume is about 800% compared to 2022. So again, we are very, very happy and confident about that. The searches, if you look at the searches on the right side in terms of the charts, the searches this year versus 2019 is already more than that. So there is this urge and this desire to travel. It's just that we have not gone to that part where we are able to travel outbound yet. And then if you look at the actual macro trends, so just now those numbers are own numbers. If you look at the macro trend itself, the outbound capacity is only at about 50%, how it was in 2019. So we still have some way to go. Why is it that Trip.com Group is able to outperform the macro trends? Primarily because during the pandemic itself, Trip.com did not stop any of our investments. We continue to invest on our product, on our customer-facing user interface, and more importantly, on our travel products internationally. While some of our domestic competitors in mainland China, they have moved back to their core business, which is not travel. So because of that, we have actually gained a huge market share in mainland China itself. So I think overall, we are very confident about the Chinese outbound travel. We're just waiting for some of the ease of restrictions or visa restrictions to happen over time and capacity to pick up.
Yeah, and I think every destination wants a piece of the Chinese traveler, right? And like you mentioned, like domestic travel has exceeded almost 90% exceeded 2019 levels. And when because they were traveling domestically because they did not have anywhere to go. But now that the floodgates have opened, destinations should prepare for it. And I think destinations like, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Thailand, Singapore, they are working towards visa-free entry for Chinese nationals.
That's right.
And so what is the role of tailored services to cater to the Chinese traveler, whether it is destinations like Dubai, Paris, and Thailand that have Chinese language support system, or it's about, what are the other ways in which the digital payments like WeChat Pay and Alipay, and you told me a very interesting thing about the fact that Chinese people, they don't carry credit cards. And even the beggars on the roads, they have a QR code. So you can just pay them through the QR codes. So very interesting. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can tell you a lot of stories about it. I think the most important thing is go to mainland China and experience it. Because there's nothing better than feeling it for yourself, right? But I think going back to some of the information or the visas itself, if you look at what some of the destinations are doing to support both inbound and outbound travel, so the latest information was some of the European countries like France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Netherlands. They have actually, mainland Chinese have actually on its own offered, a visa-free travel into mainland China so that we can get reciprocal travels between the two countries. Thailand has already offered visa-free, Malaysia, and the latest announcement was Singapore. So Singapore and China has already announced a mutually, agreeable visa-free travel between both regions. I think that itself is going to help to stimulate.
That's for 30
travels.
days, right? The 30-day one. It's 30
Yeah, the 30 days, exactly. And it's both ways, right? So it allows Singaporeans to go to mainland China. It allows Chinese to come to Singapore itself. And going back to some of the, destination marketing and tourism board. So for example, the Saudi Tourism Board, as well as I think the Dubai Tourism Council, we are actually working very closely with them. In the next few weeks, up to the first quarter, we're going to launch a series of campaigns with the Saudi Tourism Board to be able to drive inbound Chinese customers into Saudi Arabia. I think the good thing about the GCC countries around here is that they have very easy access to e-visas or on-the-ground visas. So I think it makes coming into the GCC countries very easy. To your point, I think if you look at our Golden Week travels, right, the top outbound destinations are Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, even Japan. And then the international destinations, number one in Europe is actually UK. Because, again, due to the ease of travel. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to the payment model, if I tell you every Chinese only carries a phone, without wallet, without credit card, I'm not sure whether you believe me. I just recently, last week was in Vietnam with my colleague. She's from mainland China. She didn't carry any cash, and she didn't carry any credit card. So you know what I had to do? I actually had to loan her Vietnamese dong and US dollars so that she can make payment at the hotel and the restaurants. That's really how they're used to actually just having e-payment. Now, why did this happen? Because over the last few years during the pandemic itself, very much the mainland Chinese have shifted totally to the e-payment model. So there's two big payment methods. One is the WeChat Pay. The other one is the Alipay. I think there are some vendors here, some restaurants here, some like for example, I'm sure Atlantis, they offer this kind of Chinese payment. But in general, many countries or many hotel partners, they may not be ready for the Chinese travelers. One, because of the payment methods. The other one is potentially a Chinese-speaking staff at your hotel. And I can tell you, I mentioned to Peden this. I'm a non-Chinese, I'm an Asian. But whenever I check into the hotel room, one thing I always look out for is bedroom slippers. And that's what the Chinese do. They will look out for bedroom slippers. But when I go to Europe, more often than not, I can't find bedroom slippers because again, it's not how the norm is. So they're in C-Trip or in Trip.com, we actually have what we call Chinese preferred hotels, tags, where we have a checklist of items to say, first of all, do the hotels have Chinese-speaking staff? Not on a 24-hour basis, but at least during the daytime when they check in, do they have Chinese-speaking staff? Do they provide kettle? Because Chinese people like to have hot water, cooking hot water. They like to have Chinese breakfast, congee at the breakfast area, right? Do they have bedroom slippers? So these are some of the things that we look out for. I mean, if anyone is interested later, I can give you a list of these are the checklists. And if hotels satisfy those checklists, then they will be eligible for a tag on our app where it says these hotels are Chinese-friendly hotels, which will be able to make the check-in and the stay for these Chinese customers a lot friendlier to it. I hope you don't feel that I'm exaggerating, but the thing is that this is really how the Chinese travelers are traveling. One more thing I want to share with you is that because Trip.com has been pretty strong in mainland China, when they go onto the C-Trip or the Trip.com site in mainland China, they look for hotels that has a review score of at least 4.8 and above. They are so spoiled by Trip.com, really making things good for the Chinese travelers within domestic China. So when they search for a hotel in terms of the review score internationally, the first benchmark is 4.8 and above, which means that actually in the mainland Chinese hotels, they're all fighting with each other to quickly respond to the reviews, quickly look at what are some of the review information that they can do better itself. So, I mean, internationally, for a hotel to qualify for Chinese-friendly hotel, we are setting a benchmark at 4.0. We don't expect at 4.8, but I want to let you know that that is kind of benchmark that the Chinese travelers are looking for. Go ahead.
And Chai, of course, you were talking about the micro points as well, but
Yeah.
I want you to also comment a little bit about how safety and security is very essential for Chinese travelers, and how can destinations really be ready for Chinese travelers?
Yeah. Safety and security is definitely very, very key. So, for example, I don't know whether you heard the news about one of the shooting at the Siam Paragon mall in Bangkok. That week or that couple of weeks when that thing happened, we actually saw quite high cancellations of Chinese people traveling to Thailand. So safety and travel is very important. So for example, from our perspective, we have set up what we call an international SOS platform, where anyone that books through trip.com, when they go overseas, they have the ability to be able to call our SOS platform within 2 minutes. They can get access to support in terms of security or safety and so on. And we have tied up with over 1 million health providers internationally so that we can actually help the Chinese travelers in foreign markets or in foreign destinations to get support, whether it's through for health reasons or for safety reasons, so that they can get help on its own itself. So this is something that we have put in place to ease the concerns of some of our customers that's traveling overseas itself. So definitely safety and security is one of the key things that partners are looking for. So for example, the social media in mainland China, it spreads like wild cake. So as an example, right, the Little Red Book, the TikTok, I'm sure some of you are using TikTok or ByteDance on a daily basis. Chinese travelers look very much into the social media to look at what are some of the things to look out for when they go to a certain destinations. What are the routes they should take, right? So a lot of content generating information that many of our international travelers may not be used to. So, and because of that consumer behavior of mainland Chinese, if you look at the Trip.com app as well as the C-Trip app, we are taking a very, very different approach, right? We are moving away from transactional platform to what we call a content plus transaction platform. So 80% of our app itself is actually contents, video contents, sharing of information by customers that they have been to certain destinations. I mean, if you have not downloaded the Trip.com app, I would advise you to do it, because we are taking a very, very different strategy and direction compared to the very traditional OTAs itself. So I think it's important for you to look at that. The other thing that is also very different is this Boss live stream show. Now, why do we call it Boss live stream show? Because our boss is our chairman. He's the founding member of C-Trip. During the pandemic for those 3 years, he really wanted to help the industry because people couldn't travel abroad. They were looking for travels within certain radius of the cities itself. So what he did was he actually spearheaded this live stream show. So throughout the last 3 years, he's been actually participating in live stream shows in destinations, in hotels, promoting different areas so that we can help boost the industry. That has been so successful that we garner over 1 billion views on the live stream. We do it every Wednesday. And when we did the outbound travel at the beginning of this year, when the borders opened for mainland China, we did 3 regions, right? Hong Kong, Japan, and Thailand. For every of these live stream show, which lasts for 1 hour, we generated about $3 to $5 million of GMV. So it's huge traffic. People are already very used to that kind of concept. And basically, the way we are going about engaging the community is really through contents itself. For example, if you look at our sites itself, it's actually very, very content-driven versus transactional-driven. A lot of photos, a lot of videos, a lot of sharing, what we call trip moments on our app, just to really work in line with how the consumers are behaving.
Yeah, Chai, the last time that Schubert from Trip.com was here, he mentioned that the new Chinese traveler will not react to old marketing strategies, because the Chinese traveler is moving from a destination experience to a more experience-driven, right? The destination focus is shifting to more experience-driven. And you have also, and Trip.com has this Hotel Plus X, where you make sure that the hotel itself becomes a destination
Yes,
for them.
exactly.
So can you talk a little bit about how what are the opportunities that you see in this?
Yeah, so the Chinese travelers, I think part of it is due to COVID. They now start to be aware that, hey, life is not just about, going from point to point. Life is not just about going to different landmarks to see. They really want to experience how life is. So I'm looking at Serene here, from Atlantis Royal. We actually work very closely with them to launch what we call Hotel Plus X products. We did it very, very much in the Sanya Atlantis, and we want to replicate it internationally. Why? Because the Chinese consumers are already very much educated by Trip.com in mainland China to not just look for a room to stay. They are looking for experiences, whether it is a spa within the property, whether it's experiences within the vicinity of the property. So we launched products like benefits, like pickup services, even attraction tickets, afternoon tea. Again, depending on the uniqueness of each property, what these 5-star luxury properties have to offer, the customers would like to experience it, right? They may book a 3-night or 5-night stay, but actually they want to spend a lot of the time experiencing what the hotel or the property has to offer, instead of just going to different points and just taking photo of some of the landmarks itself. So we are really encouraging many of our luxury properties to go on the direction. Why? Because first of all, it helps to drive ADR. Second thing, I think it provides a much more better customer experience for the customer to really see what the property has to offer. For example, all of us are in Atlantis the Royal today, right? Why? Because we see such a beautiful property, what services it can offer, and what other experiences we can get from this property. And that's what the Chinese consumers are educated to already start to look for, and that's what they're really looking out for.
Let me just talk about AI as well, since Trip.com has developed the Trip Genie.
Yes.
So what is the significance of AI innovation in the group's long-term strategy?
Yeah, so one thing I want to share with you is this. All my bosses, whether it's the hotel boss, flight boss, car rental boss, travel activity boss, they all come from technology background, right? They are not analysts or consultants or business developments or salespeople. They all are tech people. So their first priority is to make sure that we leverage technology to really make sure that our customer behavior or customer experience is tip-top. That's why AI is number one in our DNA. Even our chairman, I said our chairman, our founder, he's a techie by design. Of course, now he's an economist, he goes into other areas, but he actually used to work for Oracle. So he's a very technology person. So Trip Genie is something that we've rolled out, and we think that that's going to help our customers make the best decisions. I think this morning, one of your colleagues also talked about experiences and also talked about Trip Genie, Trip sort of using AI. We also have this. So what we do is through voice, through text, or through different ways of communicating with our system, we can come up with proposals, itineraries, recommendations for flights, for hotels, which allows customers to make more informed decision itself. So I'll just quickly show you this video if it's possible. Not sure whether it's running. Maybe it's not. Okay. But anyway, other than Trip Genie, which is basically an AI way of offering recommendations, we also roll out what we call Trip Best. Now, Trip Best is a luxury list of themed products. For example, if I come to Dubai, which are the top 5-star properties or luxury properties that you recommend to me? Because I might be a first-time traveler to Dubai. So I don't know which hotel I should be living or staying in or booking. So what we have done is we leverage data as well as technology to come up with what we call a curated list of hotels, either by star ratings or by themes, family themes or Instagrammable themes, so that we can give recommendations to customers. Because they already are very used to Ctrip or Trip.com as a brand. Now they're not just coming to our brand, they're actually coming to our site to say, what recommended hotels should I go to? So we have a trip-based list of properties that actually are recommended properties. At the same time, we also have more price-sensitive people looking for value-added or value products. We have what we call trip deals. And last but not least, what are some of the latest trends that travelers are looking for? So when people are looking for trends, when people are looking for deals itself, we leverage big data to help our customers make informed decisions on their travels itself.
Okay, great. I think we're at the end of our session now. Thank you so much for this insight, and I hope that you've got some great takeaways from what he's talked about the Chinese traveler, because of course, with the Middle East ambitions for tourism targets, I'm sure that China is going to be a market that you're willing to tap on.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
We are really expanding our footprint in the GCC countries. I was just sharing with Peden, we have just done localization. We are late to the game. We have just done localization Arabian language to target the GCC countries, but it's better late than never. So we are hoping really to be able to really be a big player for these regions in time to come. We are still very, very small. So if you have any feedback, any suggestions for us to do better in this region, we are all ears to hear that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please.